Adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 149. As always, I'm in the booth with the big three. Michael, the show Pirelli, Claudio, the voice, Valenzuela, and I am Dave, the body, a.k.a. the mountain, Regina. So, funny story, there's some young gym guys that go to Level, and they have nicknames for everybody, and I just found out, they didn't tell me about this, somebody else told me, but they have nicknames literally for every person that walks in, and mine is the mountain.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, could have went a lot of different ways, but I'd be very happy with the mountain. How old is a young guy these days?
I'd say 20 to 22 years old.
Wow, so street cred.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am so out of touch with everything. Like everything.
Yeah.
Lingo,
That's
who's hot right now, music, cheddar,
Yep.
cheddar? Hairdos.
What's cheddar? Is that money?
It's hair. It's
Oh.
hair.
All right.
Anyway. But yeah,
Cheddar is hair? Wait, what?
You're the mountain, so I must be
You
the
see what people from Greenwich talk about?
What?
Michael thinks that cheddar is hair.
It's hair.
All right.
That's what people
we
call
need
it,
a poll
cheddar.
done. If you have cheddar, they're not talking about your hair, Michael.
Hair
What?
and moolah
And money.
and money.
Okay, all right. Good.
Well, usually the hair relates to the money.
What?
It's like a money tree, but in your head.
Okay, all right.
I was just saying I look pretty skinny today. It's probably because I haven't eaten in a while.
Okay.
May faint during this, but I had a energy drink. Alani Nu, shout out Dana. I steal her energy drinks.
The number one
Geared towards
female
women.
energy drink, right?
Yeah, geared towards women, but delicious nonetheless.
It's probably killing all of your natural testosterone levels and
Yes.
raising your estrogen through
Which
the roof.
explains a lot. That's why I've been emotional wreck lately.
Yeah.
But no, looking skinny today, feeling good in the plaid, the gingham, if you will.
Oh, okay. So
Gingham, if you will.
gingham.
Do you know gingham?
Gingham is a candle at Bath and Body Works. Great scent.
What?
Yes, gingham.
There was a comment back in the day. It was like, yeah, I really love your episodes, but I wish you wouldn't be rambling when you start off. And if you're still listening, you're welcome because
Yes.
this is one of the best.
Wait, okay. So, listen, I'm usually a photographic guy. Is that the word?
That's a bold statement.
Photographic guy?
So I am not because
No?
you can't capture perfection.
Okay, all right. But
right, CD?
honestly, so me when I take pictures, typically, and I'm not being cocky, I'm just being honest here.
Here we go.
Typically, I'm like, oh, all right, like I look pretty good. Like I'm happy with my physique.
Do you stand in the front frame or do you try to go in the back?
It doesn't really matter.
You're always in the front.
My angles
I feel
are pretty.
Like. I feel like you're always at an angle. You
pretty
always
good.
have the arm out.
So anyway, we had a great weekend. We were actually local in Stanford, so shout out to Zodi's 19th hole.
Good spot.
That's a good spot. We did a little outdoor bar area for Pat, my
Were you
sister's
heckling people?
boyfriend's 30th birthday.
Were you heckling
Yeah,
people?
they were on the tee. And me and
Yeah.
Callie were like, caw, and everyone's like, what is that? An animal going by?
Yeah.
So that was a great time. Then we went over to Beer Garden. Another great time. I mean, the ambiance is incredible, right?
Genius business plan.
Yeah. So it was Mother's Day too. Shout out to all the moms in this beautiful world. But I wore a nice I don't know, stripes going across. So those are horizontal stripes, right?
Usually not flattering.
Okay. Well, now we're on to something. So typically my go-to when I put an outfit on, I go to Callie and I say, Cal, how does Dally look? And she says, fire. 90% of the time.
It's cute.
90% of the time. She heard me say that once to like a pair of shoes that I had, and now everything is fire.
Yeah.
So I come out and I say, Cal, how does Dally look? She said, no.
Wow.
I don't like it.
She got the eyes.
Yo, like, no. And I was like, really? She said, no, but you smell good though.
Oh, that's nice.
But it was a nice compliment. But I'm thinking like, she's 3. Like, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So I go to the mirror. I look, stand in the side. I'm like, I'm lit. Like, this is a good shirt.
Yeah.
H&M, $17. I was happy. It's not like a really fitted shirt.
That's a Frank Pirelli move right there, throwing out the price.
Yeah. Like
saying you got a nice deal.
Yeah, nice deal. It
Incredible.
was good. Nice lightweight cotton, but a sturdy shirt, right? So we take pictures for Mother's Day, and I was mortified. Like, I've never seen myself look like this in my entire life. and you be the judge, and don't, tell me if I'm exaggerating or not. First of all, I look like a boxed whale. Literally, look at this.
It was a boxed whale. Yeah. You know what it is? It's
Give
the
a
way the
live
shirt's
reaction,
hanging.
please.
You look like me.
Please, I will. We'll put it up on the episode so you can see.
You know what the problem is?
Mm.
All of your significant others that are there, small, right? You're big. You're big.
My significant others. First of all, let's be clear about that.
Family.
My brother, my
Yeah,
sister, my
that's what I
mom.
meant.
Okay, all right.
Those are significant people.
Oh,
no?
okay, yeah.
You're big. You're a big boy.
Dude, no, but I look bad big.
Well, that shirt is not very form fitting, and I don't think I've ever seen you in a baggy shirt.
Everybody was saying that, but the comments. First of all, people are very ballsy.
It is very boxy. It goes right down from the pecs, straight down.
Yo,
it looks
dude,
like you're tucking
CV,
it.
you got to see this thing. Look, let me show.
I don't think it's a terrible look. It's
Oh,
not your best.
No, it's Michael. Michael, be honest. So
This
literally,
is gonna be the cover for the episode.
no. So we start. Look, CV.
You look like the big plateau.
I know. Look huge. At least 350 right here, right? Yeah, rough. So anyway, then I send the text message to Matt and Danielle and my mom. I say, Ma, I love you forever. I'm actually going to post this because this is about you, but I look like awful. I'm literally petrified of this shirt.
Okay.
So they respond back. They're like, laugh my ass off. This is hilarious. Like, you know, we actually like the shirt, blah, blah, blah. So then I respond back to them while I'm driving. And I said, what shirt? The one that's on I-95 ? And I took it off and I started wearing my wife beater for the rest of the day.
Did you really throw it out the window?
No, I didn't. But
I can see you doing
yeah,
that.
absolutely. But man, I can't really remember the last time that I felt like that. And I don't know, is that like a normal thing that people feel if they don't like the way that they look?
I'll tell you one thing. All right, you're hitting me with a nerve here.
Okay.
You're hitting a nerve.
What?
Dana purchased me a bunch of beautiful shirts from J. Crew. Big
Okay.
J. Crew fan.
Okay.
Very
Yes,
understated.
very nice, very nice.
No logos. I don't like a lot of logos, which is funny because that's all we do.
Michael
That's
the
all we
logo
do,
Pirelli.
right? That's all I do is promote logos. So beautiful shirts, good. Like, you know, when you wear them for the first time
Yep.
and they haven't shrunk at all yet,
Mm.
and it's just form fitting. You're like, wow, it's close, but it fits perfect.
Mm.
So come to find out, they're all large, tall guys, 6'2", 6'2.5" on a good day.
Mhm.
And they all became untucked, very short shirts,
Ooh,
more
after
belly
you washed
shirt,
them?
sleeves to about here.
After you washed them.
Yeah.
Sleeves to about here.
About to here. So I snuck by and folded the sleeves like I do here. This shirt actually is nice and form fitting, but nothing more frustrating than having a nice outfit picked out
And
and
then
then
it's
you put
ruined.
it on, it just doesn't translate.
I agree.
Right? And
Yep.
then you're like, I could tuck in the shirt and get away with this, but then the slightest,
Yep.
slightest move, all of a sudden it's untucked.
That's why you're supposed to dry clean those shirts, probably.
Yeah, but in general, even if you dry clean, they will shrink.
shrink?
Yeah, they shrink.
Yeah, no, that is frustrating.
So
I agree.
now I'm like, all right, well, I'm rocking with LTs, because I'm a large. If I get an XL, it fits lengthwise,
Probably
but
looks
then
like
it's
that.
boxy.
Probably
It's
looks like
boxy
that guy.
you, Mr. Box over here, the box troll.
The big
great
cardboard,
movie, by
if
the
you
way.
will.
The big cardboard, the big flat.
Yo.
So yeah, part of the initiative this year and all years is have the glow up. Get the clothing lined up. I
Sure.
found polos I like that finally fit. They have good length.
Okay.
I'm a guy who likes to talk
Yep.
and let you know I mean business in
Mhm.
case you want to talk real estate.
That's right.
I'm tucked. I'm
Okay.
not sloppy, right?
Yep.
I got that Wolf of Wall Street, getting off the yacht, white polo tucked into blue pants, nice loafers. That's the look this
that looks
year.
beautiful. What about untuck it? Do you like untuck it?
I don't like untucked.
No,
it. No.
apparently it's like the perfect size to where you can get away with not tucking your shirt in. I don't do it because I always just tuck my shirt in.
As I get older,
Big tuck guy.
more variables bother me,
Yeah,
right? If I can stay situated
yeah. You got to keep
and
the
tight,
keep the rolls
exactly.
The
You
rolls out
can't
of
have
the
the
way.
belly sneaking out. Or,
Yeah.
And then what I also realized is I think why you and Frank do the flex of like, oh yeah, $10 at Marshalls or whatever,
yeah.
is because when you're in good shape, don't get a big head.
Yo.
When you're in decent shape, box shape. When you're in
Shaped
decent
like a
shape,
box,
everything looks good. You're a human mannequin. When you're in shape,
bro.
you feel good. Everything looks good.
Did you just see the shirt that I had on?
Not everything looks
Not
good.
everything
Most
looks good.
things look good. So it's like, all right, well, let's tighten up and then your clothes will follow.
Yeah, no, that's true. So I was proud because I wear tighter stuff most of the time because I just buy the XL and the XL is like pretty form fitting, right? Like this is not a
So you an XL, just a true XL?
true XL. But
See-
like, look, the shirts, the
Yeah,
polos,
I'm
right?
a tweener. Yeah.
Like they just fit nice.
Yeah.
So I bought the XL, but it was a loose fit.
Yeah.
But I had my my pants, which are also like a little tighter pants, right?
Yeah.
The jeans. So I think the box,
The combination,
with,
yeah.
the combo with the form fitting jeans, then the boxy shirt. It's not.
But
it.
some hipsters get away with that.
I don't.
They that like.
I look like a blimp, dude, and no wonder why everyone was looking at
I
me.
think the mistake there was not tucking.
No, I can't tuck
I
it
mean,
in.
I'm just saying because
Oh yeah,
because
because
everything
it could be big here, and you would
Your-
still be able to.
your frame is a V,
Yeah,
not a box. Like
Ah,
Mike
about
was
a
saying.
V.
You know about a
You know,
V.
you have
That
like a whole
would,
bunch of little
thank you,
boxes.
CV.
you know?
That sure would debate.
But
Yeah.
well, no, that's what I'm saying. When you don't tuck in, gravity is going to go straight
You
down.
know what I'm gonna do? I was thinking about.
Your,
it's not a
your
shirt.
look looked like my calf, but I'm seeing peaks of brilliance.
Listen.
Seeing peaks of brilliance.
Oh, hey, I see you.
Mr. Jump Rope over here.
I see you.
Every 5-10 minutes, I get in between.
You-
I'm
you
I'm
spin
hopping
it?
around like a bunny.
You know what I might do? I might become the new poster boy.
For who?
Post that as my before picture.
Not
Get
even a shirt
super-
off.
No, not
It's
shirt
gonna
off.
be the same shirt. Just
Literally, and
That's
then
going to be the 20%
Yeah,
challenge.
Exactly.
See
Look,
how
I went
high
from
you get.
25% down to 5%.
you should do fit to
In
fat
4 days.
or fat to fit to fat.
But I just did. I put a shirt on and like I look fat.
That's cheating. That's
Ah.
a cheating move. That's not a real fit to fit.
Ah,
to
so
fat.
now I'm really gonna honestly listen to Callie Michelle a little bit more. 'Cause
Yeah.
She probably saw it.
good
She
eyes.
probably saw it right from the jump. She
Good
was
eyes.
like,
Ah, man,
It's
nothing
wild,
like a good outfit to yeah. To your point, my philosophy again. Once I get to something I like that fits, I stick with it.
Yes, me
I don't. J. Crew, your clothes fit me well.
Yep.
I'm rocking with you. Suit Supply, I love you. Little expensive for 2 kids, right? Little expensive
One
for a guy
kid
with
was
2
okay,
kids.
2 kids,
I'm still using the pants and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I think I'm Mr. J. Crew from now on.
I see. J. Crew's a nice brand, man.
They got everything. They got
do.
a couple dress shirts. I
Mhm.
got a couple casual wear. I got the polos.
Yeah.
I just don't want to think so much when I get dressed in the morning, and I want to look consistent.
hmm
I want every time to see me like, wow, he's put together pretty well.
I think so.
Like,
I
I
think
look
you are,
good.
though.
Nah, I've been sloppy the last couple of years because I've been scrambling.
I've been scrambling.
You
Looking
know?
like a scrambled egg out here. That's the big scramble.
Scrambling.
I see you.
I want like Doug Funny type closet. I want to look and be like, oh, white shirt, white shirt, white shirt.
White is
White
great
polo,
too.
white
'cause
polo.
I literally just bought 4 white button downs, and
Why is it great? I know
because you
why.
bleach them.
No. But
No.
also in addition to why? Was it due to the skin?
Oh, makes you look a little tanner. You know,
My
and
guy.
then when you live on the lake, you know what I'm
My
saying?
guy.
You know what I'm saying?
My
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Mike, these days the weather is tremendous.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for me, just know I'll be on a float by the lake,
Mhm.
smoking a stogie and eating a lot of steak. That's my tagline for the summer. You know what I'm saying?
What a
Just
tagline.
kill them. Just
What a
kill 'em.
tagline.
But literally every day. So before the podcast starts, typically my routine as part of it is I go to my camera roll and I see if there's anything like significant from the week that like week is a worthy talking point or something that is funny or a story, me looking like a house, one of those types of things.
Pretty good one.
Right. So every single picture is like me with a cigar, me with a bucket hat on, me eating a steak, me on the lake. Yesterday I was pretty handy, by the way. You guys would be proud. So I'm on the board for the lake. Right.
I was gonna say you
Well,
are
like-
bored with that outfit.
I'm shaped like a board, and now I live on the lake, so I joined the actual board for the lake. And every year they have to set the dock that you jump off of.
Yep.
Right. So that has to be set because in the wintertime it floats
Shits.
away. Yeah. And then the outline of the actual swim area that the lifeguards patrol. Do lifeguards patrol?
Are you gonna be a
What do they do?
lifeguard?
Monitor that the
You're gonna be
lifeguards
a
monitor.
lifeguard?
Yeah, I hired myself at $97 an hour, the highest paid lifeguard
Sick.
ever.
Someone's drowning you.
No,
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm joking, but I hired Callie at $97 an hour, so no corruption here. Sorry, I'm just kidding. All right. So we, every year you have to do that to set the actual parameters for the lifeguards. So we decided, all right, we're gonna do this. I do it with a very fit 70-year-old, but this dude Arch, great name by the way, right? He's living life. He's a retired administrator in a school. He plays in a 70-plus travel basketball league.
Love
But
it.
I'm talking travel Portugal, travel Spain, like really good competition, right? So it's me, him, and then my guy Russ. So it's the three of us. Russ is a really good. He's a good lake athlete. Like my man can get on a paddleboard. My box shape doesn't really work on these paddleboard
Just
things.
sinks.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. So I'm like in the rowboat, and we're trying like not to go in the water because it's a little chilly still, right?
Soft.
So
I thought you do cold
Soft.
plunges.
Yeah, cold
Isn't
plunge.
that the same thing?
this is not as cold as a cold
I
plunge
cold
by any
plunged
means.
this weekend.
Did you?
Yeah, in the pool when it was
okay.
cold.
All right.
It's real cold.
So we power washed the dock. It's great. We start attaching the lines. Cool. Now it's like time to wrap everything up. And Arch, he just didn't really want to get in the water. So I'm like, no problem. I got you. So I come out on the rowboat, right? It's like, and honestly, some smooth strokes to get there too. And it was only like about 10 of them, so it wasn't that far. But when you jump off this dock, you can't really touch the bottom. So then as I get closer, I'm like, this thing is a little shaky. Like I'm kind of shaking it myself, this rowboat. So when this man gets in, it's probably not going to be good. So he puts 1 foot in and he's standing on the dock. And then he goes, oh, that's my bad hamstring. Because he was telling me that his hammy was hurting a little bit. So then I'm like, oh boy, this is
Here
not
he
going to
goes.
be good. So then I'm thinking to myself, I know that if I'm on the left side of this rowboat, my man needs to get over to the right side as quick as possible.
Oh,
I said,
shit.
you know what? Let me shift to the middle while this is happening.
Yeah.
So sure enough, he comes in, but he couldn't get his leg, I guess, over to the right side. So we literally he puts his other foot in the water, boom, capsized the boat. But now the boat is a heavy metal rowboat, right? My shins got smashed
Oh.
by this thing. And him too.
Yeah.
But he's 70-some years old, so I was a little concerned. And he got out of the water way faster than I did because I was hurting.
Yeah.
But it could have been really bad. So here I am trying to do something handy. So my point is,
The
I try to
Rock.
be handy.
The Rock.
Yeah, I try to be handy, and look what happens. This is why you don't do this type of stuff. Just
I don't
just
do rowboats.
No,
I don't do
just
rowboats.
hire somebody. And I will say these guys are great, but they're like you two, right? They want to do every project. And they're like, oh yeah, we got to change out the backboard. No problem, we could do that. Oh, you got to change the toilet. Like we could do that on a Saturday. I know how my Saturdays are. I got Callie Michelle got swimming. Callie Michelle got dance. I want to go to the gym. I just don't have the time for that, right? So I say, guys, I understand you like this stuff, but why don't we just hire a guy?
Yeah. I
And they
know
go,
a guy.
They go, that's genius. And I'm like, are you shitting me here?
Yeah.
We're still talking about this?
Yeah.
So now we're hiring a maintenance guy. So if either of you are looking for work, it's just going to be 10 consistent hours per week.
Of what?
Approximately $30.
What kind of projects?
Light maintenance. Putting a backboard together.
I don't get on ladders.
Putting a toilet in, cleaning up some leaves here and there, light landscaping, light maintenance work.
I only do heavy
Nothing
work.
crazy.
Only heavy
Yeah.
work. I
But
could build
nice
you a
little
pizza
summer
oven.
gig if you're
You
looking,
want
you know?
pizza oven in
Yeah,
your
that'd be
lake?
nice too.
That'd be actually a good idea. You're
Right?
welcome. That's a great idea.
So that's been my life so far, man. Lakes, stogies, falling off boats, and steaks.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds nice, Dave. Some of us are locked in our office with 80-degree weather outside, trying to sell some real estate here.
No, but that's the good thing though. I make it a point to, even when I got to work at 6 o'clock, right? I'm like, well, the sun's not really setting till 8 these days.
It
So
is
I'll
nice.
I'll take Callie down there literally for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the best thing. It's a little bit of work getting there because you got to go home first.
Oh, it's such a project.
Take off the clothes. Callie wants to get right to the lake. Got to put her little bathing suit or her leggings on. Bring down the toys. I pack a little Yeti with me every time. So it is a little, it's a thing, but it's worth it. every
Worth
time.
it. It's very hard for me to rationalize doing things now. Like we were going to hang out at Phil and Lauren, and I'm going to just come over because we're not. By the time we get in the car, it's going to be 35 minutes. I'm going to be frustrated. It's going to ruin the whole thing.
Yep.
We'll just order out. I'll make margaritas. Come on over.
Boom.
So that has reignited. Well, it never fell out, but basically keeps me motivated to keep getting the outside situated.
Yes.
Because I would love to park it and not move and just have open door, revolving door.
Yep.
Mike in the area coming by. Come on over, bud. Fridge is full. Ritas are prepped. I don't care if you're outside, I'm inside working. Do whatever you want.
I like it.
Revolving door. Kind of the college at. Remember in college, if you had the spot, people would just be
Just
in and out. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. I love people. I love seeing people checking in. Oh, you're in the area. Swing by. Have a soak on the Hobart West.
You heard it here first. No Snooze Podcast listeners. If you're looking for a summer place, to
Swing
go,
by.
Swing by. Swing by. My guy will take care of you over here.
I was thinking about making the Bar Miguel a little studio, a little convertible little
Ooh.
studio.
I see you.
but I can't do that.
No,
Too
and
much.
no logos. We're not a logo guy anymore.
No logos. Yeah, update. It sounds like you're having a wonderful vacation of some sort.
Vacation.
You know?
This
What?
isn't a vacation.
Every day's a vacation.
Life is a vacation.
Life's vacation. We're in feast or famine mode here. There's weeks where nothing's going on, and I'm like, am I not gonna sell a property for the next 10 years? And then there's weeks like I can't sell this many properties. I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yep.
So it's tough. It's tough to manage. I have to say the opportunities increasingly get more interesting. But there was a great quote. It says, "When my wealth and body of knowledge increases, right, the shore of ignorance also increases."
Mm.
And I'm like, it's so true. Like as new challenges come up, I'm like, man, I know a lot of this, but there's a lot I don't know, you know, which has been keeping me on my toes. And I've enjoyed it. But there's a lot of things in the pipeline that I'm working on that are another reach as far as knowledge and skill set and kind of uncharted territory. I keep going into the uncharted.
Mhm.
I'm like, give me some stuff give me a nice condo to hit a home run with. You know, stop throwing me curveballs and knuckleballs.
One, I love that analogy. That's big time right there.
Well, I didn't come up with
No,
I stole
but
it
you
from
did.
someone.
You heard it here first. No Snooze podcast.
Dave Regina actually said it.
You know. But I think that's life, right? Like I think life does that to you, and every new stage that you get to, you're still utilizing the old school, the old skills that you've had along the way. But now I think you're not realizing that you're at another level because it's happening. You know, maybe it's not happening as quick as you want, but the reality is you're a go-to guy for Greenwich real estate now, right? So like that condo that's just gonna pop up might not be as likely anymore because it's gonna be houses, big time houses.
Well, your boy's traveling now. Did you see I was in Irvington?
Yes, I did.
Beautiful community.
Yes.
So my
On the
thought,
water, right?
Yeah. So my thought process, like, man, like I got to learn about these other communities because A, they're competition. B, I'm going to have clients that want a portfolio throughout the counties. It doesn't mean I have to invest there, but to know the area, to get familiar with it, to be just what's the downside? Yes, it's time. Yes, it's effort, but it's something I enjoy. So I'm like really enjoying kind of learning about all the New Canaan, incredible community.
Mohegan Lake.
So
Okay,
I mean,
area.
I'm taking on a lot right now, but I keep thinking to myself, man, I'm not getting any younger. This is my peak years. If I'm a basketball player, from basically 32 to say 40 is probably my peak years of performance, right? Once you hit 40, I'll probably scale back a little bit, maybe pull a Batman, disappear.
What is that?
Pull a Batman?
Yeah, well,
Just kind of shutting all the accounts down and just retiring. Just being like, all right, I'm just going to manage and do landscape work. I'm just going to be a mason in my own house. And just, you know,
Yeah.
so it's, I have to say though, I've been very good most of the time. When 5 o'clock hits, if I can, obviously there's, you know, shoots or appointments that pop up, but from 5 to 8 p.m. is dad time. So when the kids get home at 5, I'm making dinner. We have dinner, we go on a walk, we play, we wrestle, and then 8 o'clock bedtime, and then back to the office. So it's like, just because I have the excuse of, man, I got a lot of stuff I got to get done, it's going to be there. When they go to sleep and you're no longer stealing time from them, get to the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it healthy? Maybe not. But in the short term, it's worth
And it
it.
needs to be done.
Yeah. So
Good. No, it sounds like you got a good balance, and it just sounds like it's a heavier time these days.
yeah, it's all good stuff though,
Mhm.
which I'm realizing. It's not like I'm not enjoying it. When I'm
Right.
in the office late night and I got
Right.
the basketball in the background and
Yep.
I'm knocking out reports, it's all stuff I still enjoy.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't be able to do that and work these hours if I didn't still enjoy it,
Mm.
which has been a good reiteration of I'm in the right path.
Yep.
It's just challenging times as far as like getting it all done.
Beautiful. I like it. CV, let them know where you get this protein at, and then we'll jump right into it, baby.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NOSNOOZE30. Again, that's NOSNOOZE30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
All right, Guys, if you have not checked out the last episode 148 with Cordell the Gift Booker, a lot of traction on that episode and some great content in there. So go check that out. But I asked a question to Cordell that ended up sparking a little bit more thought in my own brain. And the question was on the lines of, some advice that you would give to somebody younger or your younger self. And then I answered my own question that I asked him to give some context. And the answer was something in regards to patience, right? I wish that I could have taught myself earlier the importance of patience and working through things and knowing that, you know what, as frustrating and down as you may get, if you keep putting in that action over time, you'll begin to accomplish your goals. But as I was coming up, I used to quit a lot, right? Like we've spoke about on this podcast many times. So that was a piece of advice that I gave, and it got me kind of starting to think. Then fast forward one day, I go to work, and this young gentleman who is in college, his second year of college, he works part-time with us. He calls me Mr. Dave. He comes in and he says, Mr. Dave,
I love that.
I have a really good opportunity. I can go study abroad. What do you think about it? I said, wow, man, like that's one of my biggest regrets. Because, I had a great program through Manhattanville that I could have gone wherever I wanted to go. But because I was thinking of just the now moment, right, at that time, and I wanted to work, I wanted to have my own apartment, this, that, I ended up not doing it. So then I was like, wow, okay, like that's definitely advice that I would give to my younger self at that time, right? And then I texted you like, hey, listen, this keeps coming up. You want to go back and forth on it. And I have like a couple things just personally and professionally. But I think it's a nice conversation to kind of look at. And I can't remember the last time that you're in something. The reality is we're in our 30s now, right? So we're not ancient artifacts, even though my grays tell you different. But it's nice because these lessons that we would have taught ourselves back then, they're still very applicable right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you ever do want to study abroad, word on the street is Hobart East is becoming a little Tuscany. So feel free to swing by and
You
get
did
your
study
taste
abroad,
of
though,
Italy.
right?
I'd studied abroad. I went out.
I remember that.
Don't repeat this. Secret time. No one's listening. 42 nights I was in Italy and traveled all over the place. I went out 42 nights. And then I went to my teacher. Did I tell the story? My teacher lived above us in an apartment. Nice guy, younger dude, Mr. Bird. He's probably going to get fired from hearing this.
Mr. Bird?
I went to the final, right? Pulled an all-nighter, went to the final, did not study. Went up to the front as soon as I got the test. And I said, Mr. Bird, you told me when we came to Italy, you need to experience Italy. School's fine. This is great, but you're here to experience Italy. And Mr. Bird, as you know, I experienced Italy. So please give me a C and pass me because I don't know anything on this test. I listened to your advice. I swear to God, he passed me. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
I must have still been a little buzzed when I gave that speech.
Yeah.
But he literally was like blown away that I even would have the audacity to ask.
That's one of the best stories I ever heard. I didn't know
I
that.
swear to God.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, it helped that he come and
Yeah.
hung out with us.
Of course.
But
he's probably
Yeah.
like, no, he's probably like, damn, I was drinking these Stellas with these guys all 42 nights.
so that was one experience in it. But then going back for the honeymoon and then the 1 year anniversary, it's to your point, studying abroad. I don't think it's ever a bad thing to experience another area of the
Mhm.
world, especially when it's so far away,
Mm-hmm.
because then it makes you reevaluate everything you do and is what's normal. What should you? The hustle culture of the U.S. is great, but something clearly works in Italy. So
Mhm.
it's like, why not adopt a little bit of what you like?
Right.
So,
Very good.
but yeah, I mean, maybe some advice to myself would be like, maybe don't go out 42 nights in a row in Italy.
No, hell no. That I would do
I have
that
to
all
say,
day.
I've made mistakes in my past and I've made some big F ups, but it's hard for me to look back and say, I wish I told myself something, because I would say where I am today, I'm very proud of what I've kind of come to a conclusion in my values. And I think if I didn't make the mistakes or have an opinion like that was so the other way at points,
Mhm.
I don't think I would be here.
Yeah.
Like if I said to myself, all right, let's do real estate early, right? And get into that world. I don't know if I would have had the patience to stick it out and or the maturity to deal with the success once I got it,
Right.
right? Like
That's big. Yeah.
I may have been in a position where if I did really well, I'd be a jerk
Mhm.
or like not have the right values because I have all this access.
Yep.
Whereas slow rolling it and getting a little more success 10 years in when I really grinded it out, really worked hard, my value was there. Like I really earned it.
Mm-hmm.
Where then when I earned it, I didn't want to waste it. And I want to invest in things and people and family and things that like actually matter.
Yeah.
Was if I was successful at 22, I may be the guy with the Lambo, like, and then driven it like off,
Yeah.
who knows what would have happened.
Very true. You said a word, mistakes, which was something that I definitely.
You heard steaks and you're like, I'd love
Steaks,
one.
Yeah. Porterhouse, please. Definitely something that I thought about. But not wait. I wish that I could have done this. And even now, right? Don't wait to learn from your own mistakes, right? With technology these days, you could watch, listen, read, learn about other people's mistakes. You
Yeah.
don't have to make them, right? And especially when it comes
It's hard though.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
But if I took that concept, I think I would have saved myself so much frustration,
Yeah.
right? Not so much the failures, because failures, the businesses that failed for me that we spoke about many times, I do think that I had to go through that. But I'm just talking about like bad decisions that you knew back then were bad decisions, right?
Yeah.
And you've heard stories, you've heard your family members, you've read a book, you saw a movie, you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you still did it anyway.
Yeah.
And it is part of life lessons, but like we really don't have to do that.
You don't have to, but yeah. Yeah.
And whereas now, like even in business, I take it very seriously where, I model certain individuals in my life. And if there's something that I'm going after that has already been done and there's been a big mistake that I read about with this individual, I'm not doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to take a different approach.
Yeah.
So it got me thinking for sure.
I think my big, like if I saw my younger self and we were just sitting down, like having a coffee or a beer, I think I would tell myself like, listen, there's a lot of stuff that's going to stress you out that you can't control. Don't stress about that. Don't focus on that. Just focus on doing stuff, doing to the best of your ability, and it'll all work out.
Yeah.
Because the journey's not done. But I look back on like, even in college with businesses and stressing about this and stressing about that, it's healthy, but I probably could have saved myself a lot of worry and done a little more if I just kind of had that approach, which I didn't learn until I basically hit a breaking point in real estate.
Yep.
There was at one point, I don't even know what year it was, but I basically said to myself, like, listen, I'm either going to have a nervous breakdown or I'm going to figure out how to manage the stress. And then I kind of stumbled on the stoic approach to life, which is like control what you can control, and then everything else, you can't stress about. It is what it is, and nothing's good or bad. It just is.
It just is. No, well said. I think this one now for me is probably my biggest one that I wish I would have learned, and I definitely apply it now. And I'm super conscious, being a dad now as well. But taking the time, to really think about the words that are going to come out of my mouth. Because in the past, I was very fiery. I had an upbringing where words really didn't matter much. You apologize the next day, you keep it moving. Whereas now, I realize that that's not life, right? You can't just take words back. Words hurt people, and you end up hurting people that you really care about the most. So it's something that I'm super conscious of now. Still make that mistake at times. I'm not far from perfect, but I'm definitely aware of it, and I wish that I knew that much earlier in life, because it's big, and you could do a lot of damage to people. And also with that same point is even in business, right? Because that's on a personal and professional level. Not having those conversations when you're visibly upset.
Yeah.
When you're emotionally unstable in that moment,
Letting it breathe.
but it's so hard to do.
It is.
Well,
because you're like to solve the problem.
oh.
So when the problem arises, you can't just let it linger.
Yeah, but I used to have, this is prior to therapy, but my go-to I would attack, right? Like I would try to annihilate with words.
Is that a defense mechanism?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
I'll send you a bill.
Thank you, Miguel, my therapist.
That's another profession, possibly.
It is. There you go. Even the way you sit, my therapist.
I'd be
sits
interrupting
like that too.
people and be like, that reminds me of the time.
Yeah.
So you're talking about basically controlling anger. The thing that resonates with me constantly, and I constantly think about, is especially in like a Greenwich when you're growing up, there's these avenues that you get pushed into. You need to do this to then get the big job, to get the big house, to then get the car, to get a bigger house. And, you know, when you start a business, you need to be a big business. The whole goal of a business is to hire more and grow and grow. And I always took it as just a matter of fact because I'm like, oh, these people are older. They know more than me. So why wouldn't I trust them? I was way too trusting of people's ideas and advice when I was younger. And I just kind of took it as gospel and ran with it. When in reality, now as I'm older, my first question is like, is that the best course of action? Like, is that right? You know, is that right for me? I constantly on social media see like, hey, you know, I'm starting, especially in my profession, I'm starting a company. I want the company to grow exponentially. I want to have 10 people working for me. And in my head, I'm like, do you? Do I? You know, or is that just what you say?
Right.
Because I think a lot of people go through life and it's not wrong if you actually want to do that, if you really want to grow, but there's a consequence to doing that.
Right.
Right. Like there's this story of a fisherman who's fishing on like a remote island or somewhere. And this this businessman moves to the island, sees this guy fishing. He's like, oh, you do the best job. You get the best fish. It's always fresh. Like, why don't you buy a boat? And the guy's like, well, you know, I don't know. I don't really need to buy a boat. Like, I just like to go on the shore and fish. And I'm definitely butchering it, but I go on the shore and I fish and, you know, I have time with my family. And he's like, well, wouldn't you want to like make more money so you can do more for your family? He's like, I guess. And then he buys a boat and he starts working on the boat. And then he works a little more because there's a higher cost. And then the businessman's like, oh, you're doing so good with one boat. Why don't you get 5 boats? And then you can hire other people to do the boats, right? And he's like, all right, I guess I'll get 5 boats. So he hires 5 boats, starts to work even more, less time with his family, doesn't actually fish as much because he's managing the 5 boats. And then ultimately he's like, all right, well, why don't you sell the business? If you sell the business, you can spend time with your family and be on the shore fishing. And he's like, wait, isn't that where I started?
Wow.
And then the businessman, like, then it, you know, whatever that
Yeah.
story is, the theme of the story is sometimes people are doing all this stuff to spend time with the family when you could just spend time with the family.
Right.
Right.
That's a good story.
I think about that
Very good story.
because as I'm starting to get tempted to grow, I'm like, do I want to grow in that way? Is it going to take me away from spend time with my family? Because ultimately, I'm doing all this to have more experiences with my family. So
Full circle moment.
pretty cool story.
Interesting,
I would encourage people to listen to the real story because I don't know if that's the correct way to
What do you
tell
even
it.
look for that?
But that's the
A
gist.
fisherman
A
story?
fisherman, yeah, like a philosophy. It's a philosophy story. Because then the question is, that's all great and a great experience, but would have he been better? Because he would have had all that time with his kids, all that time with his family,
Less stressed.
just doing the one thing very well versus trying to create this big, like, who really benefited? The businessman.
Yeah, you're right. I like that analogy.
It's pretty good.
It is. It is good. It's making me think. I'm about to leave here and go to the lake right now.
Hell yeah.
Going along with the same conversation from before, this one sounds a little deeper than it is, but you know, we go through things as kids, young adults, where you're basically like kind of shy of, right, or you're embarrassed of. It's not something you share because, you know, there's a stigma attached to it. The situation with my mom growing up. I wish I had the ability to address those issues earlier, and being able to tell the story as fuel for myself versus allowing that story to hold me back, right? And maybe it's just there's a time and a place, obviously. You know, if you're right in the thick of things, obviously when I'm in 8th, 9th grade, it's not the time to be discussing that stuff. But, you know, I could have definitely benefited from just my own mental, being comfortable talking about those scars, maybe, or scars that you can't see, typically are the ones that will hurt you more than the ones that you can see, if that makes sense.
It does.
Right. And being more comfortable for sure with the whole therapy process. It's so funny. I was talking to somebody who's an actual clinically has a degree in, I think, psychology and something else with counseling. And I said, would you ever start a new relationship in therapy? And the answer was absolutely not.
Wait, what do you mean new relationship in
Like
therapy?
if she were to start a new intimate relationship with somebody,
Yeah.
her being in the field that she's in and doing the work that she does, would she start a new relationship in therapy? So I would think she would say yes.
Wait, what do you say it again? I'm confused. With therapy or in therapy? What are you saying?
In therapy with the person. So if I'm sorry, I'm leaving some details out.
Would you do counsel or a couples therapy?
Like, do you believe in counseling so much, right? That it's because I believe that there's a very healthy benefit
Gotcha.
to counseling, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to a professional in the field,
Got it.
and I said, if you were to jump into a new relationship with somebody, do you view it as a healthy thing to start the relationship in therapy?
Got it.
To avoid
Oh.
potential issues
Yeah, yeah,
moving
yeah,
forward,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
No,
really
that
articulate
makes
it.
sense.
In my head, it was very clear because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had the conversation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense now?
Yep.
But her answer was no, I'd rather not. And I'm like, well, why? And then her response was, well, because I think there's a real stigma attached to therapy, and maybe the other person might not be as comfortable to get in there and think that there's issues that are associated with
Yeah.
being in therapy.
Yeah.
But advice to my old self would be like, get over that, right? Like, it's okay to talk to somebody who's a professional about that stuff.
So that is a perfect example of a good advice is like life is all about asking questions, right?
Yes.
And the right questions.
Mhm.
You get a lot more done by asking questions.
yes.
That's a great question.
And
Like,
a
would
lot
you
of the times-
recommend?
right.
And then she said that, and you're like, then why am I?
Yeah. It made me feel weird.
There's stuff like that happens all the time to me where I'm like, then why would I, you know, like if you're
Like,
not
you're the
doing, why would
therapist,
I, you know?
Yeah.
I constantly am like, which is probably to my downfall because sometimes I'll think like, instead of just doing stuff against stuff, I'll be like, why am I doing that?
Yep.
What's the, so
Yep.
yeah, the therapy thing, I guess even when we were growing up was very like looked down upon.
Yes.
Like the term like you're crazy was like a very negative connotation, you know?
Yes.
So wait, what is your answer? Yes,
I would absolutely.
Mike. Yours?
What was the question?
Be comfortable. Be
Would you
comfortable
start
in
a new
therapy
Would I
in,
be
in, in,
comfortable
in
in
a
therapy?
relationship.
Well,
Yeah.
no. Would you start a new relationship by starting
By starting in therapy?
I would not because I think, and this,
You need buy-in from both people, though. for me.
well, no, I think sometimes this can get me in trouble. I think sometimes there is an issue that's created by overdoing it.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not saying don't
Yeah.
discuss things and go through things, but sometimes when you belabor
You're
something,
trying to find issues.
there's a scab there that will heal,
Yeah.
and you keep reopening
Right,
and
right, right.
reopening and reopening, and it becomes this
See, but I think also the idea
very case
of,
by case.
the idea of therapy is different for people, right?
Yeah,
So for me, my greatest
it depends on the
benefit.
therapist too.
my greatest benefit to therapy these days and as an adult now is the accountability factor.
Yeah,
Right. So I know, because I get a lot of questions even about parenting and Callie, right? It's constantly in my head when a situation arises where I know I can pop off. I'm like, got to report to Mike next week.
yeah,
You know, so for me, that's what it does. It's an accountability factor for me. I don't go into therapy to like, well, what issues can I,
Yeah.
like solve?
No,
this week?
100%.
No, so for me, it's dealing with a professional who's going to hold me accountable and say, listen, man, like that way you reacted to your 3-year-old daughter, probably not the best way to roll.
So
But don't you hold yourself accountable?
Yeah, absolutely. But there's still a huge difference when you have a professional. And I tend to think that I hold myself extremely accountable, right? I take extreme ownership in most of the things that I do. But
Right.
there's also a big difference when the first question that a professional asks you, right? This is my routine. We'll sit down, we have a coffee. The first thing he goes, tell me about your week, my brother. So right there, I tell him about the good things, but now I'm automatically in my head, I'm already aware of the things that I should have done better that week.
because you want to work on them.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I think my thought process in all this is whatever works for you.
Yes.
If you find it productive, if you're a couple and you find it productive, there's no judgment. I don't have an opinion on it. Like I won't think of anyone less
Mm-hmm.
if they go to couples therapy.
No, yeah.
I won't think of anyone more if they don't. Like
Right.
I don't
Oh,
think
of
it really
course.
matters.
I
It's all-
agree. Go ahead, Stevie. What do we got?
Would you would it make a difference if you're starting a new relationship? That's where it
Mhm.
all started, right? Would you, I guess, look at it differently if the other person did not want to do what you want to do?
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't do it. I would absolutely. I would be open to right because everybody's conception of therapy is different. I have found an outlet in it for me as a man because the men in my life that I've been around, my dad is good with this. We typically don't talk about our feelings, and at first I was like that, whereas therapy has really opened me up to having a conversation with somebody that I trust that has no judgment, which is big, right? Like we have the trust in each other, the three of us, that we have conversations, but it's still different when you have somebody on the outside who's not really going to judge you regardless of what gets said.
Yeah.
But if somebody was not comfortable, Mike had mentioned something that I think Dana did a good job
you
with.
think that they're not judging.
What?
I mean,
yeah, but I don't know you from a hole in the wall besides
right,
the professional
so
relationship.
The three of us, for instance,
Mhm.
let's say we do judge, we're seeing each other regularly.
Right.
Whereas the therapist, there's no friendship. You see them one time and you leave, and then you see them again probably the next week,
Next
right?
week, but
they're not like, oh well, let me go tell all my friends what a dummy this guy is.
No, but
and
you
if
do
he
that.
does, you don't know about it because you're not in the same
Right.
circles. You get what I'm saying?
You kind of, but no, because think about even the closest people in your life. How often do you sit down with them for 1 hour per week and have a face-to-face conversation? That therapist, honestly,
About
probably
important stuff.
you know
too.
what I'm saying, of important stuff.
Yeah, very rare.
To where that therapist over the past 5 years has been probably knows the most about me by far. Sends me, a message on Callie's birthday, will send me a message on my birthday, Merry
That's great.
Christmas, this, that. It's actually formed a real relationship. So he could judge all he wants, but when you're putting that consistent work in every single week for 1 hour or 45 minutes, whatever the session is, the consistency over time really becomes a relationship. But to finish my point, one thing that Mike had said that Dana did really well, Mike wasn't sold on the whole church thing. Dana just started going, right? Didn't you say Dana just started going with Livy?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it made you kind of say like, oh, wow, like maybe I do want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So that's how I would apply it to that relationship, right? If there was a new relationship or something like that, where somebody didn't want to jump into therapy, I would still do the habit that I like. And then hopefully my experience could convert them if that's something that you wanted to do together. But if not, that's fine too.
My personal opinion is I'm not a big fan of sharing feelings because they're not, for me, I haven't found it productive. Like in the last 2 years, I've been way more emotional and had more feelings because of lack of sleep.
I've had more feelings.
Yeah, but like in a sense, overthinking things.
Yes.
And for me, I'm much more productive, happy when I don't talk about things.
Right.
When I'm just like, all right, that sucked, but I don't need to talk about it again.
I think whatever works for you.
Exactly.
you know,
Personally,
is the
that's
way
what
to
I
roll.
found. Because
Absolutely.
I tried it, and even when I've talked to Dana a couple times, I'm like, I don't enjoy this.
Yeah, and
This
it
doesn't help
rehashes.
me. Makes me feel worse
Yeah.
versus me just get up and like do something, look forward, you
Mhm.
know? Yes, it sucks. I feel bad about what I did or whatever the talk is about, or like I feel crappy today because I haven't slept,
Yeah.
but it doesn't help me to acknowledge it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. So
For
if you-
me, personally.
Offloading though doesn't make you feel a little bit better.
No, I don't. I 100%.
So
This
does that
is God's
mean-
honest truth.
So does that mean? I don't know.
I have issues. I'm
Hopefully,
sure.
I'm not poking the bear. But does that mean that you're always always the one that makes the mistakes? So that's why you don't want to hear the things that you may have done wrong. Because when things are done wrong to you,
yeah.
you almost want to hear it from the other person because
Yeah,
you
he's
feel
good with that.
Yeah.
He,
I mean,
I wouldn't
just-
say I'm
I'm
good.
just saying.
I mean,
for somebody to not want to talk about feelings just because there's nothing productive
Yeah.
going to come out of it,
Yeah.
you're basically saying, all right, well, I'm going to punch you, and
Well-
fine, I can get over it. Let's move on. What's the point in talking about
Well,
it?
I'm not talking about like
You
an
know, But
argument.
if somebody punches you, you're
Yeah.
going to feel different.
So that was a bad example. So I'm not you, me. So yes, like sometimes I get defensive for sure, and I want to just move on. But I'm talking more about just me internally, like not like I'm mad at you or mad at this. I'm just like down today,
right.
and like I don't feel great, and I'm like, my business isn't doing great today, or like I'm very negative.
Yes.
Sometimes
context.
when I acknowledge that, it makes worse.
Yes.
It's less with the relationship stuff or like people,
Right.
Because
Good
that
context.
definitely you should talk.
But
through.
also, I will say this too. Even with just knowing Mike for the past 15, 18 years, whatever it is, he is good with like giving other chances, right? Some people. So even though you might get defensive, if I mess up and I did something bad to Mike, right? Mike is not going to be somebody that's going to be like, all right, well, sit down and admit your wrongdoings and tell me why you did it wrong and this and that. Whereas if I just genuinely apologize to Mike,
Dana might argue that.
you're going to give me well, that's you and your wife. That's
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
But you're going to give me the benefit of the doubt and be like, you know what? I know you've been my boy for this long. Maybe you had a bad day. Like, let's just keep it moving.
I try. Thank you.
You know?
I try. I try to. I've been trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, like even myself sometimes, where I'm
Mhm.
like very critical of like,
Yeah.
wow, you fell asleep. Like last night, I tried to pull almost an all nighter and get work done, and I fell asleep. Usually, I'd wake up and be like, you idiot, like you're not gonna get anything done. Now I'm like, it is what it is. You're exhausted. Like You're doing the best you can.
Yep.
If something doesn't come together because of it, is what it is. It's
Mhm.
not like you're not trying.
Yep.
Right.
And for me, again, I'm just sharing my personal experience. The biggest thing for the therapy, it took me a long time to want to the acknowledgement for me. I've always been the type to admit when I'm wrong, but I was not the type to understand why I was doing what I was doing. There's a big difference there, right? So like the acknowledgement piece, for me going to therapy, just telling you what I did wrong, that does nothing for me either.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. But when I'm a science guy in my head, right? Big science, if you will.
I see.
When you can actually diagnose what it is that makes you do what you do and why you do what you do, that I become obsessed with that, right? And a quote from, a quote that I always think about is hurt people, right?
Good quote.
Whereas I had a lot of hurt in my own head. This is not just from my upbringing and situation, right? Like I used to do hurtful things to people because I never would acknowledge how I actually got there. So I was constantly in like attack mode. And now, honestly, with a daughter, I want nothing more than to be the opposite person of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm intrigued with in therapy is like, all right, like, and this dude, he'll ask questions. Well, what did you feel when you said that? Right. And then you got to go back like, damn, what did I feel? And are you really going to sit there and be honest? Because I remember in that moment feeling like, oh, I want to slaughter you right now.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to say something that I probably don't mean, but I know that it's going to hurt your feelings. So I'm going to go right there.
Yeah.
And then he'll go into like some sort of science as to why that occurred. And that's the piece that I'm obsessed with.
Yeah. Which is great.
You know, but it's definitely not just sit there and, well, tell me how it feels today.
Yeah.
I happen to get lucky with a relationship in therapy that I found the guy for me.
Well, that's big too.
Because like when people jump around and a lot of people, they've taken my I don't want to say advice, but you know, I guess it is advice. Where they go seek something in terms of a therapist and they do it like online and they have a conversation with a stranger and they're like, yeah, it didn't really do much. And the reality is it will take a good 5 months for somebody to really grasp your story. But you got to be consistent with it, right? This is not just a go to therapy session 1 and now you're going to just talk for 45 minutes and you're going to feel good.
Yeah.
No,
It's an investment.
It's a real investment.
Yeah.
And I've done it over time to be able to speak on the benefits of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I
Enough
take
therapy talk. F
No.
that. Don't go to therapy.
Yeah. I think with the good ones, like anything, people who do it well, it makes a lot of sense. There's probably a lot of bad ones,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
That are incentivized to just keep you talking, not really doing anything.
Yep.
So that's why there's probably a negative connotation with a lot of it. In any,
Mm-hmm.
that's for everything. Always think to yourself, like, all right, well, is this the right fit? And whatever help you're trying to get, do I jive with this person? Do I trust that? Trust is big. You trust them probably so much that it makes it easier. So kudos to you. I mean, I give you credit.
No.
Anyone who does therapy, I give a lot of credit to even have the balls to go out and do that,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't even know if I could. Like if someone asked me like deep questions, I don't even know if I'd be honest with them, to be honest. Right?
Yeah.
Because there's a part of me that's like, well, that's my internal. Why should you know? You don't know,
Right.
that defense.
Yes. But that's
You
why
know?
it takes time to get there.
Yeah.
One thing that I would say to my current self, honestly, and I was thinking about this too. I was like,
The
all right,
mountain or the box? Which one?
The boxy mountain, if you will. Not the Rocky Mountain, the boxy mountain. I'm always I do always want to be in this positive mindset, and this is going to conflict with something that I'm going to say later as well, which is funny. I like doing that all the time.
Right at my alley.
But I think I catch myself overthinking a lot, and I want to constantly remind myself, and this podcast will be a good reminder when I go listen back to episode 149, No Snooze Podcast. Go like, subscribe, right?
NoSnoozeSouth.com.
To not think too much, and that sometimes it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to fix everything right away, Dave. This is me talking to myself.
I
Right, like,
figured that out. When you said Dave, I was like, that's probably not for me.
Well, you look like me these days, so like the little box, if you will.
I was the pre.
Yeah, the
like,
pre-box.
I'm the base that you pick when you make a character, and then
Yes.
that's the maximum. Like,
But for me, I just want to fix everything. I want everything to be good, and like, boom, let's be this positive, go-getter progressive guy. You've done this, now it's time to do this. Take this leap, do that business, jump here, go jump in the lake, do that. Whereas some days it's okay to just wake up and be like, nah, you know, I do feel a little crummy today. And it's okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal, because sometimes now I catch myself like, all right, well, why am I feeling this way? What happened that, you know, now I'm down in the dumps? And it's just okay, man. You got a lot going on in your life. You got a kid, you got a career that's pulling you in a million directions, right? You got different people pulling you all over the place. Your family dynamic, your friends, this, that, just like everybody has. So it's okay to not be okay. Shouldn't happen all the time, though, but,
Yeah.
you know.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
CV, curious. What would you tell yourself, the young Claudito Beats, if you will? Need your microphone. Womp, womp, womp.
Are you pissed that they asked you a question?
Where's your camera, man? Come on, show us the 4K.
So,
You have a camera on you or no?
what advice would I give myself? To be more persistent on the no when you ask me to do no snooze. Probably.
I knew that was coming.
Wow.
It's right in the name too.
Learn
You
to say
should.
no.
Yeah, I don't know. Patience is something that I've always struggled with.
It's hard.
So yeah.
It's hard.
And I was kind of like that fiery,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I don't know. That's probably one that probably the biggest one. You know, I'm very impulsive. Was very more impulsive, and patience is probably the best one.
It's probably a good one for all guys in general. You know, like
Yeah, everyone in general.
yes, everybody.
What's another good one?
I go ahead.
So just like so here's a mindset that really clicked and really helps me kind of stay like, it's a good word, less grudgy with things, and like not holding on to any type of like anger or negativity towards people.
Oof, that's a good one.
This is what I would tell my younger
struggle
self,
with
is
that.
like, listen, you are your own world. You know all your problems, all your issues, all the strain, stresses. Everyone has stuff going on. Like, that someone is someone that you think wronged you, when in
Mhm.
reality they weren't even thinking about you, because they have so much going on.
Let's
right?
talk about that.
Well, it's good.
That's
like,
a big one.
in anything, in personal life, real estate, like, just because you lose a listing and someone goes with someone else doesn't mean they're bad people.
How do you work on that though? How do you work on?
Because I constantly
not-
think I do
holding
the exercise
grudges.
of like, I put myself in their shoes. I'm like, all right, well, you know, property hasn't sold. You know, I'm a small firm. There's a big firm out there. Why not try?
But I think a lot of that feeling, the root of that feeling,
yeah.
I think it's kind of a learned behavior from like a trauma, like from youth, you know, and maybe not for you because obviously you maybe never
I
went
wouldn't say
through that.
trauma, but like
No,
experience.
I mean that's trauma. Whenever it manifests itself when you become older.
yeah.
The little things, and it usually comes from trauma. Like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't. Trauma does not mean I got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Trauma could just mean like the way I was raised.
Yeah,
Trauma
the way
could be
you
like
handle things.
the way that you moved around.
Yeah.
Trauma. So like, you know, like I think if you
Well, your initial instinct for everything is like, they did that intentionally, right? For
Right.
everything.
Yeah, of course.
Like, if the delivery person's late, you're like, they're fucking with me.
that's
Yeah.
that's not the question. The question
Yeah, sorry.
really is
how do you
like,
get there?
well, no, the grudging part, right?
Right,
Because
yeah,
the grudging
yeah.
part is like after. So
Practice.
the initial
100%.
the initial is, oh well, they did it on purpose, right? But then
Yes.
how quickly you're able to get over that really speaks to how deep that trauma is within you.
I guess.
So this is the process. I didn't get invited to this event,
Mhm.
right? And I'm like, why didn't I get invited to this event? Then you're like, all right, well, if I'm the guy organizing it, there's 400 people going to this thing. Is there a chance they didn't even think?
Right.
You're
Right?
speaking of the rational side, right?
But this, I'm telling you
Right.
the process, right? And then I'm like, all right, if they didn't think, like, you know, if I was them and I forgot to invite X, would I want them to be pissed off at me?
Right.
And like, if he doesn't know that I'm upset by this,
Mhm.
then who am I hurting by holding a grudge?
Yep.
Right?
I think when you're damaged, right, when you're damaged yourself, you have that thought process that people are out to get you. And
Yeah,
I'm speaking on
yeah.
myself, right? Like, when I am in a bad place, I automatically assume that people are doing things intentionally, when what Mike is saying is very true. They're probably not even thinking about you, right? And
But
then
even if
also
they
for you had lost your dog over a year ago now, right? you were in a tough spot that you shared, right? Now imagine if everybody around you had this mindset that Mike is talking about, where they just didn't even know what was going on, but they gave you the benefit of the doubt and treated you as if, because you might have went off on somebody, you might have attacked somebody, whether it was personally, professionally, because you've had so much going on in your life that you just didn't want to share with everybody, which I agree with 100%.
respect.
And there's a lot of things that I just don't share because of that too. But if everybody around us had this mindset where we're like, you know what, just going to give this person the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe they're having a bad time in their life. And Mike's point is exactly right. You don't know the problems that are going on in other people's lives. And it's a great mindset to have. And you get there and you get better by practicing it.
And
Right.
what's the downside, right? If the person did do it intentionally, then whatever. I don't want to go to your event anyway if you're doing that intentionally, right? If you didn't, then it's
Don't
whatever.
get lost, man, in the camera work.
But no, it's just the quote that always gets me is like disdain or whatever, negativity or whatever you want to call it, grudges. The only person that hurts is people that hold it. It's like acid. The only thing that gets hurt is the container of the negativity.
So listen, I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is spot on. And I think the way to approach it is, I think you're on track. All I'm saying is, for some people, it's easier than for others.
100%.
Those that have more
100%.
trauma, those that are more damaged,
Yep.
those that have more like
Yep.
baggage, right? It's harder to get to that point where you're saying like, oh, let me look at it in a different perspective. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of holding the grudge.
Yeah.
Like I say, people that can get over things quickly.
But
For
are we
some,
actively
you know,
addressing those?
Huh?
Are we actively addressing it?
Are we actively
Did I hit a
addressing
nerve?
them? How could you actively address something that you don't know that happens? Until
No,
it
I'm saying
happens?
like, are we actively addressing whether it's childhood traumas, whether it's traumas wherever, the first issue is that has to be addressed, right? Because if not, then it's not going to be easy for anybody.
right. So
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, like,
I
it's-
don't know, like
yeah.
how would you address it?
How do you actively address
Like
that?
going to a therapist?
I mean, finding somebody that you can
Right.
talk to for sure, and really addressing and having someone else.
Yeah, but therapy is not accessible to everybody.
I mean, if you live in a foreign country, maybe not, but
No. I mean, financially wise. I mean, when I'm talking about us, I'm talking about in general. So
right.
If you
We do have a
hear
lot of
this-
listeners in third world countries.
If you
though, so
that is true.
I'm serious. You know,
Isn't
so
that all of our
maybe,
listeners?
maybe they're not. That
if we do
accessible.
hear this, like, what can we do? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? How do you kind of rid of some of that baggage to be able to get to that point where you can now be more objective and not hold that grudge?
Everything is an action plan, right? Everything in life. So
Well, a lot of it
what-
wastes your own
I mean,
time.
but once there's an issue, you have to have a plan of attack to address it, right? So, I mean, we've given many things, and I do think that everything that we talk about here is a part of this, right? Like coming up with healthy routines, right? What are you putting into your body that's going to also make your mind feel better, right? Are you being active? Are you able to go out for a walk? And you know what? Okay, the next time that you get upset, shut your mouth and go walk outside and get some sunlight, right? There's things that maybe
Tactics.
they seem silly, but like, are we actually addressing the issues is what that's kind of what I was referring to, you know?
And when you find people that intentionally are like slighting you, I would argue that that's probably the best time to not hold a grudge because that pisses them off more.
Yeah.
I have a couple people that have literally been like bad mouthing me behind my back, this and that. And every time I see them, I'm very cordial because I'm like, that must drive them nuts
Right.
that I don't care,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Because they're probably like, I want to get a rise out of them. I want to be mad at me.
Yeah.
I want them not like me. They're trying to create like a rival of some sort.
That-
And when
that
you
you're like,
don't
it doesn't
care, it's
exist.
just like, I'm not saying that like I'm holier than thou or whatever. I'm just saying for me, the best case scenario like isn't to start a war, right? The best case scenario is just kind of ignore it and do
Yep.
your thing.
big time.
So I don't know.
I like it.
But that's also me just like not caring about a lot of things because I just don't have the bandwidth anymore to like hold on to stuff. So it's an effort,
Absolutely.
right? Like having all these like a hit list and stuff.
the hit list.
It's hard because you got to remember who you dislike. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, maybe if I dislike, I can't talk to him at this thing. But like,
Yep.
if you don't care, it's like, whatever.
Whatever. It is what it is.
And people are going to talk negative no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to upset someone.
That's right.
So it's like, who gives a shit?
Yep.
Which is not great.
And
And your true friends are the ones that give you the benefit of the doubt. When you slight someone
Mhm.
unintentionally, intentionally, whatever it is, when you have friends or, family that actually get you, those are the ones that'll stick around and give you the benefit of the doubt. The ones that don't show their true colors, and it is what it is.
Right.
You
Well
lose
said.
touch, and it's whatever.
Gold came out today.
It's true.
I love this
I
type
don't
of
know.
stuff.
We're trying. Trying over here.
Anything else before we jump into my favorite section?
What's that?
Dave's Dime of the Week.
That's all I got. Dimes.
This one, talking to myself here.
Don't
All right.
wear boxy shirts.
Yeah. Stay away from horizontal stripes. They make you look absolutely terrible. No snooze.
It's not bad.
So I constantly do this, and it's something I did put it on Instagram as well. But I tend to, let me just get to the quote. All right. Learn to not make a big deal out of things that are not a big deal. Let it go for the sake of peace. So my father,
pretty
right?
good.
He always, he asks the question, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And like at first I'm like, hell yeah, because I'm boiling. My blood is literally boiling, right? I'm boiled. So it's worth it for me to get it out, go curse somebody out, because then I'm not going to boil anymore. But his response back to that would always be like, yeah, but are you a good person or not? I'd be like, all right, Dad.
I must drive you nuts.
Yeah, like, all right, fine. But it's so true. And as you continue to, get these grays in your beard over and over again, with every life experience that happens, you just got to learn, like, not everything is a big deal. We don't have to make a mountain, if you will, out of a molehill. Is that right? No?
No, that's right.
That is
Not a
right.
molehill.
Yeah.
Molehill's a small hill. So
Yes.
they say don't make a mountain out of mole. Yeah.
Out of a molehill.
That's right.
Yes.
CV, he got one.
Let's go.
That is it.
That is it.
Yeah.
That is it. But it's a good one, right? Because I feel like, so many times, if you just look back, like, you just made such a big deal out of like something, wow, for someone to be like, okay, you're right.
That's like 90% of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that happens to me all the time. And all I'm looking for is like, all right, you're right. But then after, if I think about it, I'm like, what does it matter?
I heard a fact. I don't know if it's true or if these numbers are correct, but
Heard a
basically
fact.
the majority of arguments are based on lack of sleep or one party being hungry.
Big time.
Isn't
Hungry.
that funny?
Hungry?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say like, yeah, tired is good. And
Lack
then,
of sleep or being hungry is like a crazy 70% or something of all arguments.
wow. That's good.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. That's an even better
So
quote
bring
than
a
mine.
Snickers in your pocket next time you're yelling
Or a
with people.
steak. We eat healthy over here on this
Yeah,
podcast.
You're not you.
Have you
when
seen my
you're
body
not
lately?
You when
The
you're
big
hungry?
box, if you will.
You don't know that?
I'm
You know
starving
what I mean?
right now.
I'm trying to get a Snickers.
Oh man, guys, another epi in the books. Thank you guys so much. Whether you listen to 1 or 149,
It's
we're
a
getting
nice
up there,
tagline.
kid.
You're
Right?
doing pretty good. at
we're
the
getting
taglines.
up there. So as always, thank you, and until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Oh, man, go eat that steak. Seriously though, you can't eat steak.
That's another epi in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.